Aging isn't losing youth. It's gaining power you didn't know you had. My friends, I want you to pause for a moment and listen closely because what I'm about to share may change the way you see every year of your life from this day forward. We've been taught, sometimes quietly, sometimes very loudly, that aging is about loss. Loss of strength. Loss of beauty. Loss of relevance. It's a story our culture repeats like a tired old song. But that story is incomplete and dangerously misleading. Here's the truth from decades of scientific research, life experience, and watching hundreds of men and women navigate their later years. Aging isn't about losing youth. It's about gaining a kind of power you didn't even know existed when you were younger. A power so deep, so transformative, that once you see it you'll never want to trade your years away again. So, if you are in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or even 80s, I invite you to stay with me until the end of this video. By the time we are done, you'll not only see your age differently, you'll feel the strength in it pulsing through you. And while you're here, take a second to subscribe to this channel. That simple click helps us bring you more of these life-changing conversations and ensures you don't miss the next one. 1. Rediscovering the true strength of age. When you were 25, you might have had boundless energy, a quick recovery after a late night, and perhaps a body that could run a few miles without much training. But let's be honest, what you didn't have was the depth of perspective you hold now. At 25, a small problem could feel like the end of the world. At 65, you've seen enough storms to know that clouds pass. Science backs this up. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, have found that the amygdala, the part of the brain that processes fear, becomes less reactive with age. This means that as the years pass, your brain quite literally learns to stay calmer under pressure. You might not leap over a fence like you did in your 20s, but you can sit through a crisis with the kind of steady composure that makes other people lean on you. In my work, I've sat across from retired teachers, nurses, business owners, and parents who raised their families through difficult decades. They've told me stories about facing layoffs, illnesses, or even the death of a spouse. And yet, in those moments, they found a center of gravity inside themselves, a calmness that younger people simply hadn't built yet. This is not weakness. This is power. Consider Margaret, a 71-year-old woman I met during a seminar in Boston. She had just started her own small online business selling handmade quilts. When I asked her why she started so late in life, she smiled and said, "Because now, I know what I want and what I don't. I don't waste time doubting myself." Her words held a confidence no business school could teach. That's the gift of time. The science of perspective. You've probably heard that wisdom comes with age. But it's not just a poetic saying, it's measurable. Studies from Harvard and Stanford show that older adults excel at what psychologists call future-oriented thinking. While younger adults tend to focus on immediate rewards, older adults are more likely to see the long-term consequences of their actions. This is why seasoned investors, community leaders, and even grandparents often make decisions that create stability for years to come. Think about the difference between weather and climate. Youth is like weather, it changes quickly, and it's exciting, but it can be unpredictable. Age is like climate, it takes longer to shift, but it holds the deeper patterns that shape everything else. When you reach this stage in life, you start to understand which storms are worth braving, and which ones are better left alone. Calm is the new strength. One of the most underestimated forms of strength is emotional regulation. Younger people often believe that loud energy and speed are the signs of strength. But in the real world, the ability to remain calm in the middle of chaos can save relationships, careers, and even lives. I remember a man named Charles, a retired firefighter in his late 60s. In his younger years, his strength was physical, hauling heavy equipment, carrying people out of burning buildings. But in retirement, his strength shifted to guiding younger firefighters through the emotional aftermath of tough calls. "The fire in your head can burn hotter than the one in front of you," he told me. His calm presence was as important to the team as the hoses and ladders. This is one of the superpowers of aging. You learn to choose your response rather than be trapped in your reaction. And once you've mastered that, life feels less like a battlefield and more like a river you can navigate. Rewriting the story of power. So much of our culture still defines power as youth, beauty, and speed. But I want to redefine it for you. Power in later life is the ability to see through illusions, to decide where to invest your time and energy, and to stand unshaken when others are thrown off balance. If you've ever been the person others call when trouble hits, you've already felt this. If you've sat quietly while someone half your age raged about something you knew would pass, you've seen your strength in action. The question is, will you own it? Or will you let society convince you it's not valuable? In Europe, there's a saying, old age is not for the faint of heart. I'd add it's not for the powerless, either. Because the power you hold now isn't the noisy kind. It's the power of presence, patience, and perspective, and it's far more enduring than the restless energy of youth. In the next part of this journey, we'll dive deeper into what I call the 4 superpowers of later life, the abilities that emerge only after decades of living, learning, and sometimes falling down. These include emotional intelligence, unshakable self-confidence, meaningful connection, and mastery over your time and energy. But before we go there, I want you to take a moment and reflect. What have the years given you that youth never could? Not what they've taken away, what they've given. Write it down. Share it with someone. Because when you start to see your life through the lens of gain instead of loss, you open the door to a whole new way of living. The first superpower, emotional intelligence at its peak. When you're young, emotions can feel like they own you. A sudden comment can ruin your day, a setback can feel like the end of your future, and relationships can rise and fall in the space of a week. But as you grow older, you start to see emotions for what they are, waves on the surface of a much deeper ocean. Science has shown that emotional intelligence, the ability to understand, manage, and respond wisely to feelings, tends to increase with age. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that older adults are better at seeing both sides of a disagreement, finding solutions that honor multiple perspectives, and stepping back from the heat of the moment. Take Eleanor, a 68-year-old retired teacher. When her granddaughter came to her in tears over a friendship falling apart, Eleanor didn't rush to fix it or give empty comfort. She listened, asked questions, and helped her granddaughter see not only her own hurt, but the possible struggles her friend was going through. That kind of empathy, built over decades of loving and losing, is a rare and powerful gift. The second superpower, confidence without needing approval. When you're 25, the opinions of others can feel like the air you breathe. A careless remark can send you spiraling. But something shifts when you've been on this earth long enough. You start to trust your own judgment. You know your values, your strengths, and your limits. You no longer need the crowd to clap before you believe in yourself. Thomas, a 73-year-old former architect, told me, in my 50s, I stopped trying to be impressive and started trying to be useful. That simple shift freed him from the exhausting chase for approval. He started volunteering his design skills for low-income housing projects, not because it made headlines, but because it made a difference. And with that freedom came a new kind of joy, one that isn't dependent on anyone else's applause. This confidence is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It's the kind of self-assurance that lets you walk into any room, whether it's a board meeting, a family gathering, or a doctor's office, and speak your truth without shaking. The third superpower, choosing meaningful connections. By the time you reach your later years, you've seen enough relationships to know the difference between company and companionship. You stop collecting acquaintances and start cherishing the few who truly matter. This is why social circles often get smaller with age, but deeper. Psychologists call this socio-emotional selectivity. Older adults naturally choose relationships that bring emotional satisfaction and avoid those that cause unnecessary stress. This isn't isolation, it's refinement. I once met Henry and Ruth, a couple in their late 70s, who hosted dinner at their home every Sunday for just 6 close friends. We used to try to keep up with everyone, Ruth said. Now we just keep close to the ones who feed our souls. Those evenings were filled with laughter, shared stories, and the comfort of being fully known. The fourth superpower, mastery over your time and energy. Perhaps the most overlooked strength of aging is the ability to say no without guilt. When you were younger, you might have felt pressure to say yes to every opportunity, every request, every social gathering. Now, you understand that time is not infinite, and your energy is precious. Marie, a 69-year-old nurse who retired last year, told me she finally stopped attending family events that always left her drained. It doesn't mean I love them less, she explained. It means I love myself enough to choose where I show up. She now spends those hours tending her garden, mentoring young nurses online, and taking long walks with her husband. This mastery is a form of liberation. It allows you to focus on what truly matters, whether that's learning a new skill, spending time with loved ones, or simply enjoying a quiet morning coffee without the weight of other people's expectations. Turning power into purpose. Power without direction is like wind without a sail. It moves, but it doesn't take you anywhere. The true gift of later life is the chance to align your newfound strengths with a sense of purpose. Purpose can be grand, like founding a charity, or simple, like helping a neighbor with their groceries every week. What matters is that it's meaningful to you. In France, I met an 82-year-old man named Luke who teaches children how to repair bicycles. It's not just about fixing bikes, it's about giving them confidence, skills, and a sense of accomplishment. Luke told me, "This is my way of staying part of the future, not just the past." Living as an elder, not just an older person. There's a difference between getting older and becoming an elder. An older person measures life in years. An elder measures it in lessons. An older person carries memories. An elder carries wisdom and shares it. Becoming an elder means owning your role in the community, your family, and even in the larger human story. It's knowing that your presence matters not because of what you can lift or how fast you can run, but because of the steady light you bring into the room. So, my friends, aging is not the slow loss our culture wants you to fear. It is the gaining of powers you didn't even know you had: emotional intelligence, self-confidence, meaningful connection, and mastery over your time. These are strengths that youth cannot touch, no matter how many years it has ahead of it. I invite you, starting today, to see yourself not as someone past their prime, but as someone stepping into their full authority. Use your wisdom. Share your gifts. Live your purpose. The world needs your presence now more than ever. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And tell us in the comments, what is one strength you've gained with age that you never had in your youth? Your story could inspire someone else. Stay connected with us for more of these valuable life lessons. Thank you for listening to our story. May your days ahead be filled with clarity, courage, and the quiet power that only comes with time.